Okay, we are back in game here. It has been quite some time since I've played this campaign. I haven't opened up this save file since before I uploaded the first video in this series. So it's probably been, well over a month for sure. I guess it's October 22nd right now. You can do the math there. Okay, and the point of this video is to just kind of revisit some of the weird things that happened in this campaign. Go over mistakes that we made, things that we should have done but didn't, and, stuff we should have done in hindsight but never ended up doing. So, for example, Kingdom of Yakistan. Let's talk about them first. We spend all of this time going down this section of the focus tree in the attempt to get them as an ally. And there was a button that we were able to click in our decisions at one point that allowed us to call them into a defensive war. When we click the button, let's do it, let's click it, see what happens. And nothing ended up happening. I don't know why they never joined, but because they didn't, all of this time that we spent down here was just totally wasted. We could have done other things with that focus time. So yeah, there's your first lesson. Don't trust the yaks. They're not going to help you in the war. Okay, next thing I wanted to check was during the campaign, when I blocked off these C zones, our aluminum dropped. Okay, we're going to block off all these C zones now. Slightly short on aluminum. How does that work? Could we have aluminum on like an island? 3.7%, that's not even bad. We'll just go with the deficit. And I wasn't sure why that happened. So I'm gonna unblock our C zones now, these C zones now, and see if the reverse happens to try and figure out why. Okay, so let's unpause. Sure, yeah, go back. Okay, it did change, but that might have been a result of just the game loading, because I just loaded this game up. So let's block it off again and then unblock it again. Alright, let's try this again. Does it reduce? No, it doesn't seem to. Why did it go down then that one time? There, okay. So it did reduce. It just took a while to load. Okay, what's going on? There's so much stuff changing, and it's like changing after delay. Okay, so let's just do this for now to get rid of our mills. Try this again. We're at 5. I have an idea for why it would change, if it is going to change. Okay, we're at 5. Let's see. Okay. Yep, it's at 10 again. Pretty sure I understand, but let's just do this right here. So this is a breakdown of where all of our aluminum is coming from. Let's take a look at where these states are. There's Baltimore, which is over here. And we're checking to see if there's any islands. That second one, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, is right here. Rockville. Where's Rockville? Over here. Sirius. Over here. Again, that's on the mainland. And Albia. And I know where that is. That's up here. So all of our aluminum is on our mainland. Yet, when we block off the C zones, we lose access to some aluminum. Which must mean, for some reason, we have aluminum that should go down to 5. Yeah. Goes down to 5. For whatever reason, we have aluminum getting shipped by sea, even though it's all on our mainland. That is very interesting. Let's see if we can find the convoy route for it. So there should be a new convoy route set up for resource transfers. Okay, that's supply. I know this is rubber. More rubber. I don't care about those. And for whatever reason, it's not showing. Why isn't it showing? I'm gonna have to do some investigating here. Okay, now I've got a pretty good guess about what's going on, so perhaps I should mention it before we start. My hunch is that it's this state right here. The reason for it is there's no connected railway to anywhere in this whole region. The only supply access is through these ports. Without the railway, to get the resources back, it has to be shipped by sea, or there has to be like a sea route open for that to happen. That would be my guess. But there is a way to confirm whether or not this is true. The difference is 5. So let's look at our economy law right now. Export focus, which means half of our resources aren't usable for us, which means we're extracting 112 and we're exporting 56, exactly half. Well, I guess it's not. There's a little bit of rounding because 102 isn't exactly 50% of 205. It's especially strange here because here it says that we have 33 rubber being delivered by sea. And here it doesn't say anything is being delivered by sea. We just lose access to some aluminum. So let's check to see if this 112 changes and by how much it changes when we block the sea again. That's our first test. Does this change, and by how much does it change? Okay, so it goes down it drops by 10. What is going on here? Why are we at 7 now? This game is very confusing. Let's unblock it all again. Sooner or later we will figure this out. Okay, so we're at 112 again. I suspect this is going to be the sea zone that does it, but we'll see. Yeah, it's this one. Okay, I believe I have figured it out. This is a perfect example of why doing this sort of investigation is so valuable, because you learn stuff about the game that you never knew before. There's a modifier if you click on a state with resources in it, and you hover over it right here, it tells you that it's got a base of 10. Infrastructure, when you have max infrastructure, it doubles the base resources in the state. And there's that other one, that 1.2 factor for supply routes. Now if I block this sea zone, that 1.2 factor is going to disappear. So let's unpause. Yeah, see, it drops down to 20. The reason why that happened is that 1.2 modifier only appears if there's a supply hub in the state. So because this state doesn't have a connection to any railway, when we block off this sea zone, there's no supply hub in the state anymore. Both of these supply hubs become inactive. So to test if this is true, all we have to do is build a railway from here. I'm actually going to bypass this supply hub here, and we're just going to go right to here. Just a level 1 railway. So this hasn't updated just yet. Let's pause for a sec. And it should update back down to 106. This is where we're actually at. This updates quicker than this. So this should go back up to 112 once this railway is finished, if this theory that we're testing is correct. When I started this, I was really only wanting to test out some stuff and go over our campaign, but it would seem that someone needs to be taught a lesson about picking on people bigger than you. So if Stalingrad wants to fight, we'll fight them. Okay, so looks like you guys are getting a little bit of extra content now. Okay, we're going to take down Stalingrad then. Well, I'm not going to declare war on them, but if they declare war on us, when I click this event, then we'll take them down. Okay, so their faction is just these 2 members, I think. So we got front lines up here, over here, and down here. I'm not going to click either of these buttons until the very last moment. This message expires in 13 days. We're going to use those 13 days to get our troops into position. Try and defend this river. We'll start with just here. And we'll split up our field marshals this time as well. This is another thing that we should have done in our campaign against the Changelings. I should have split this up so that this field marshal was in command of all the units that we left at home and on this border here with that big pocket, while this field marshal did the offensive. That would have stopped all of the inconveniences that showed up by having 2 field marshal lines on our advancing infantry. So we'll do that this time. Okay, our navy, bring it all over here. I'm actually going to cancel this railway. We will check after we defeat Stalingrad, if this works. Let's grab all of our planes. These old planes of ours, they were a very worthwhile investment this whole game. They absolutely proved themselves. Let's grab all of our fighters, just collect them all. I don't think I'm going to defend this at all. Yeah, we'll let them take this without a fight, just to make things easier. I think we'll go offense. Just until we've assigned our medals.
At the ready.
Vision attack. Just going to rename them based on how many medals I've given them. Vision attack. Let's do that. Okay, now let's do preferred tactic selection. Okay, what is the hardness value on our tanks? Okay, over 50%. Set preferred tactic to blitz. Set this guy's preferred tactic to blitz as well. She's not level 5 yet, so I can't give her blitz. Let's do this. Convert. Can we make these any better? That's better. Let's convert. We got a massive stockpile of tanks. Tank destroyer. Tanks will be much better after this. Let's see if we can upgrade some of these units too. The pawns are pretty terrible as infantry. So let's see if we can upgrade them. Okay, let's unpause. This is another thing I should have been doing during that final offensive. But I was quite tired by that point, so I stopped upgrading my units. Had micro fatigue, so... Now can we convert to this? We can. Let's do it. 3.2k artillery as well, and storage.
Ponies at the ready.
Do that. Let's just see if they attack us or not. If they don't even attack us, then we're not going to do anything. We might be doing all this preparation for nothing, because we're role-playing as though these 2 are in charge, right? And these 2 will never declare war on Stalingrad, so if they don't attack us, no war is going to happen. Okay, interesting. We actually took the planes that were on the carriers as well. That's interesting. Okay, well, we can go back to what we were doing, and that was checking this. I want to block this state first. That should get rid of the 1.2, and it does. Oh, brilliant. Okay, looks like we're fighting after all. Let's cancel this again.
Ready to do our part.
These guys are taking their sweet time.
Moving out.
We're going to start this battle plan. Because I don't want to deal with naval invasions.
Move out! Move out!
Let's just let them expand and reach our line everywhere first. Gonna wait for this front to advance before we start launching offensives here. We can cut this guy off too. There we go. Got him.
Must be preserved. Move out!
Okay, they're looking quite thin here.
Ready to do our part.
Let's frontline order this.
Ponies, at the ready.
We'll be able to hold everywhere with the infantry. We'll just get the tanks over here now.
At the ready. Ready to chat. Answering call. Move out. Ready. Move out. Move out.
And these
Moving
guys.
out. Ready. Pause. Answering call. Ready to do our part. Moving out. Ready. Ready to do our part. Move out.
Just gonna wait here for the supply.
Our lands must be preserved. Magic makes us strong.
How close are they to capping? 36%. Let's try battle planning there. Here as well. Let's just go for it. I think we can get them.
Moving out.
Battle plan is just meant to pin them all into place.
Neither snow nor rain can stop us. Ready. Ready.
We go this way.
Answering call. Answering call.
How are we doing up in the north?
At the ready.
Just start going down here.
Pods. Ready to do our part. Move out. Do our part.
There we go. Now that that's done, unless the yaks want to fight us next, can I finish this railway yet? And what is all this? Now we're going to finish this railway to finally see if this works the way I think it does. Okay, so when this railway finishes, this should go up to 24. We should get a 1.2 modifier here. There it is. Okay, so we learned something. And what we learned, just to go over it one more time, is that when you have a state with resources in it, if there is a supply hub in that state, you get a 1.2 times modifier for resources in that state. And that is also why we lost the aluminum when we blocked off the C-zone earlier in the campaign. Because by blocking it off, the supply hub right here got disconnected from our railway network. And so there was no supply hub in this state anymore. Because before we built this railway, the only connection was through this port, which was blocked off when we blocked these C-zones off. That is why our aluminum reduced. Okay, yeah, I didn't know about this 1.2 times thing. So that is new to me. Alright, let's even double check. Is there any state that we have that doesn't have a supply hub in it? That has resources? This right here, this state won't have it, right? Yeah, it doesn't have the modifier because there's no supply hub in this state. This one should. Yes, this has a supply hub that's only connected by this river though, which is really interesting. So it doesn't even need to be a railway. A river also gives you this modifier. So yeah, if you want full aluminum in this strategy, make sure you hook up this supply hub with the railway. Next thing that I wanted to check here, this is just purely for experimental reasons here. Let's unblock all these sea zones. Alright, so these are all stolen ships here. I want to try two things. First, we're going to separate this battleship here. And these ones here, these are the battleships that I was refitting all throughout this campaign. These are our good battleships, right, with this design. I refit them with everything except for this. But once it became clear, you know, halfway through the campaign that the Navy wasn't going to be important, I stopped refitting and just made convoys. Couldn't be bothered to continue. In any case, what I wanted to check here is this ship here has 3.2k manpower in it. If I delete it, do I get that manpower back? So let's test it out. We are at 147k, so it should take us up to 150, right? Let's delete it. It's in one of our ports, but this is a stolen ship. We did not create this. Okay, ship is gone. We did not get the manpower. It said that we would, but we didn't. And it should have been instant, right? We don't have to wait. Like if I delete the division, let's take one of these units. And if I delete it, this has 9,000 manpower in it. We delete the unit. Yeah, we get it instantly back. But yeah, when you delete ships, you don't get the manpower back for them. Very odd. I'll even unpause just to check. Because right now our manpower is demobilizing as well, so this number should be decreasing. If it increases though by 3k, that's due to our ship that we deleted. No, we're not getting any of it back. Well, at least for the stolen ship. Let's try one of our ships. Let's try deleting this one. This one's 4k. So let's try deleting this. So it should take us up to 160. And it specifically says we will gain 4,000 manpower. Delete it. Nope, we did not get the manpower back. Okay, well, that was a good test. Because at the beginning I was actually considering deleting some ships because we were so short on manpower. But that is not a strategy you can use. In any case, that's that test done. Let's do one last thing. Right now our Navy is 225k manpower in it. Okay, there is no difference whatsoever. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm glad we checked that. Deleting ships, you don't get anything back for it. So don't do it. The next mystery that we encountered in this campaign was war support. That, specifically the world tension factor there, it's at 40% right now. So I looked on the internet again, still couldn't find the information for it. But I was looking through some of the footage that I uploaded when I was trying to get this focus right here. Not this one, this one. When I was hovering at 50%, and we had like 36 world tension. I was looking through the footage of that to see if I could figure out what the relationship between world tension and that world tension factor is. And I think it's just a percentage. I think it's the max you can have is 40%. And because world tension is at 100, we get 100% of 40%. I'm not 100% sure this is the way that works, but if you do the math, you get the same numbers that we had earlier. So it was 36. Like earlier when we were trying to get that focus, that factor was from world tension was 14.4, and the world tension was 36. 36% of 40 is 14.4. So you get the same number if you do that. So I am pretty sure that is how it works. I'm not 100% though. I am now much closer to 100% certain. This right here is a screenshot from a different campaign. And you can see the world tension at this point. The world tension factor is 12.4%, which is 31% of 40. This screenshot is actually from the practice campaign I played to prepare for this challenge, back when I was experimenting with different strategies. Luckily, I kept the footage from that practice run so we can compare some things. For instance, in that practice run, this happened. Exactly 50. Ooh, we can actually get it now. The window's open right now. If we wait 21 days for this focus to complete, the window might close. Yeah, we gotta go for it. We have to go for this. Ah, that's unfortunate. The window closed on us and we lost a bunch of focus time. As a result, we weren't able to mobilize until late 1009. 56%. We may very well lose progress in all of this, but it's worth it. We absolutely need this as soon as possible. We completed the focus September 8th, 1009. In the real campaign, if you remember, we completed it on March 30th, 1009. If it cancels right now, I'll be so mad. Okay, good. We made it through the window. Like 6 months, potentially even a year earlier than we should have. Because we missed that first window, we were set back almost 6 months. That is how important this is, and it's why war support is so important when playing Equestria. Having literally a single % more war support means you get all your army chiefs and start generating army, air, and naval XP half a year early. Unfortunately, World Tension is all RNG based, because while in that practice campaign we were 6 months behind our real campaign in completing that focus, we were much luckier later on. Ooh. We gotta go for it. We need to take this. Minus 35% consumer goods. In March 1010, in the practice game, we were able to get extreme measures, more than a year before the war. In the real game, if you remember, we weren't able to get that until after the war against the Changelings started. I'm not sure I can explain exactly how much different this campaign would have looked if we had managed to do that again. Extreme measures is the focus that unlocks all the good stuff for Equestria, but it's locked behind 75% war support, which we just weren't able to get. It allows you to lower the tension limit for sending volunteers, which we did in that practice campaign. I sent Luna all over the place, sent her north into Yakyakistan to help them win the war there. We'll do this historically, for lack of a better word. We're playing as though these two are in charge, so of course they're gonna help out their friends the Yaks. You can tell by their how much they like each other.
Moving out.
There are the tanks right here.
Ready to do our
Let's
part.
test out these tanks. Then south. Oh, it's decent terrain for tanks too. It's all just hills and plains. Jungle.
Ready. Ponies at the ready. Ponies at the ready. Ponies at the ready. Ponies at the ready. Answering the call. Plants must be preserved. No wrinkles.
We should recall our volunteers. We would have done all of that again if only we had managed to get that 75%. Had so many plans for sending volunteers all over the place. But oh well. We still won in the end. But Luna was a much more competent tank commander in that practice game and had all sorts of traits unlocked by the time the war started. The last thing we are going to go over in this video is missed opportunities. I don't think it's possible to record yourself playing a HOI4 campaign without finding a bunch of these. Sometimes there's something small, like missing a pin. If only we had pinned that one unit in place, we would have been able to encircle and destroy it. Instead it got away. If only we had pushed more aggressively or gone for more ambitious encirclements, we could have won quicker. You know, things like that. I noticed a lot of examples of these in this campaign, and it'd take hours to go over them all. Instead, we'll just go over a few of the biggest ones. I should have made subs. After that giant offensive, where we pushed from Mead Lake all the way up to these mountains, we trapped a massive portion of the Changeling army in this huge pocket. The reason why I decided to do that in-game was so that I could make it impractically difficult for them to redeploy their units back and forth between this pocket and their homeland. Their divisions would have had to go all the way back and forth by sea, which would take literal weeks of in-game time. And the bot likes to redeploy units back and forth between fronts like this, so I guarantee that even though we never saw it, they had massive numbers of units just hanging out in the water, transferring between fronts, even as we invaded their territory. And that's why I did it. Units being redeployed back and forth like that aren't on the front lines anymore, which makes it easy to keep pushing. That was one of the reasons why our offensive worked so well, and why they had so few units on the line at the end. When we finally defeated them, they still had a massive army left over that hadn't been able to help in the defense, because it was just too far away. But if we had subs, we would have been able to destroy those divisions while they were in transfer and truly cut off this big pocket by convoy raiding. So that was one missed opportunity. But we had no way to know that in advance. I played a practice game before this, but because I made so many mistakes in it, I stopped right after the war started so that I could try again. And that second attempt is this video series. So I didn't know in advance that our Mead Lake offensive was going to work. I didn't even know that Stalingrad was going to join the war on our side. So I didn't have any plans in place to exploit these situations as they came up. It's only in hindsight that we can know that subs would have been beneficial. Our tanks are another example of this. I specifically made tanks that moved at the speed of infantry because I didn't expect to be making any breakthroughs with them. But Stalingrad's entrance into the war lengthened the Changeling front line so much that we were given a golden opportunity to do just that. Faster tanks would have made that offensive so much easier. But again, we can only know this was a mistake in hindsight. Motorized divisions would have been nice to have as well for their speed. There is one missed opportunity in particular, however, that we should go over, because it really hurt us. And this was a genuine mistake that would have paid off massively if I hadn't made it. The combat insertion ability. That is the ability that allows paratroopers to destroy the organization of enemy units simply by paradropping into the state they're in. That single ability won us the game. It was how we encircled all these divisions at Mead Lake, and that served as the foundation of our entire defeat in detail strategy. We would have been crushed if we hadn't used that ability. But at the same time, that counterattack was delayed. Due to poor planning on my part, I didn't have the combat insertion ability unlocked when our units first made contact on this river line here. I wasted our air XP on air doctrine instead, having completely forgotten to get it. As a result, that counterattack couldn't be launched immediately. I had to sit and wait until I built up another 51 air XP to finally get it, and only then was I able to launch the attack. It seems like such a simple mistake that's quickly rectified, right? Especially since we built that 51 XP relatively quickly as we shredded the Changeling Air Force. But take a look at this. At this exact moment here, they had 20 tanks ready to be encircled with our paratroopers, and 15 of those tanks were mediums. Those were the good tanks that were actually dangerous. This was essentially their entire tank force. For this one brief moment in time, Mead Lake here was the only front line we had with the Changelings, so they had placed all their tanks on it. But as their infantry units continued to advance across the rest of the country, they eventually made contact with our units near Canterlot, and that created another front line. So the Changelings sent a large portion of their tanks over there instead. We were ready, right at this moment, to launch our paratroopers. The only thing we were waiting on was the combat insertion ability. 51 air XP. We should have had it, but due to me forgetting about it, I had no choice but to postpone the offensive until we got that XP. That mistake let a bunch of these medium tanks get away. This here is a screenshot during our actual counterattack, right before we started destroying their tanks. We can still see them all here. There are only 15 tank divisions in the trap, and only 7 of them are mediums. This means that because we had to postpone the offensive, 8 fully equipped medium tanks got away, more than half of them. And those tanks were the very same ones that gave us so much trouble over here in the east later on. This right here is the biggest missed opportunity in the entire campaign. And it's why this is the thumbnail for this entire series of videos. We could have absolutely crippled them right here if we had just seized this golden opportunity. But we didn't. I forgot to pick up that ability, so we missed it. If you learn anything from this mistake right here, it should be this. If you intend to use paratroopers, make sure you have the combat insertion ability unlocked before the war starts. Anyway, this has gone on long enough, so I'll leave it right there. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you around.